This is Action and Ambition, the show that takes you all over the world to share interviews with the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their backstory, get the most important lessons they've learned on their road to success, and hear exclusive tips on how to implement their success in your own life. Action and Ambition is brought to you by Entrepreneur Magazine and your host, Andrew Metal.
Welcome to the Action and Ambition podcast. I'm your host today, Chase Geiser, and with us we have a very special guest, Josh Justice. Peerly was founded by Josh Justice and a team of telecom professionals. It facilitates P2P texting at scale. The inventor of rich font text messaging, Peerly has become one of the leaders in the peer-to-peer texting space and has seen growth of over 100% year over year. Peerly is working to provide political campaigns with HD video texting for the 2022 election cycle. Josh, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you with us. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. I checked out your stuff. Good content for the audience. So I'm happy to participate today.
Absolutely. So where does this story begin for you?
Yeah, look, been in the world of entrepreneurship the last couple of decades. The early days were kind of just pounding the pavement as a young guy, doing a bunch of sales, a lot of door-to-door sales and telephone sales, crappy jobs, right? But when you're 13, 14, 15, 16, you're only going to get these type of jobs. So you got to take it for what it is. And those days, I'd say I learned a lot. Learned a lot of how to talk to people. And after having hundreds of doors slammed in your face, you learn how to pivot and learn how to talk and communicate with people. So that set me up for sure. And then kind of got involved in various forms of telecommunication a number of years ago and continued to parlay that and continue to grow the businesses. And here we are today.
Wow, that's awesome. I've always believed that if you can do door-to-door sales, you can sell pretty much anything. I have a close friend who sold Bibles and encyclopedias door-to-door. And if you can bring the good news to somebody and convert them in 30 minutes, then you can sell them any useful product or service, right?
Oh yeah, completely. And this is the thing. I say the exact same thing, right? Like it is a crappy job. It's a real grind, but there is a trick to it, and it's not easy. And it was a lot of years ago that I did this, but if you can imagine that these people don't want to see you. They don't want to hear anything that you have to say. They don't want to give you a chance. And why would they? You're coming up to their door or you're ringing their phone. They don't want anything to do with you. And you have a matter of seconds to be able to get your value proposition in and to close that before it's just all over, right? So part of it's a numbers game, but the other part of it is that you have to have that craft. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be genuine. It's tough, but you are right. I do believe it, man. Like, screw you can have all the degrees in the world, or from the big fancy universities. If you don't know how to talk to people, good luck. And if you can do that door to door, man, you can do anything. I'm with you.
So explain to me this. I'm reading the description here of Peerly, and you describe it as a P2P texting at scale platform. What is the difference between P2P texting and, say, just like mass SMS campaigns?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So peer-to-peer texting, it's also known as P2P text. It's a form of SMS that allows a person to quickly send out text to a large group of people while having the opportunity to have a two-way conversation between the sender and the recipient. So it's very commonly used in politics and in nonprofit organizations. It gives the ability for these groups to reach huge numbers of people in a conversational manner, and they can collect real-time data from voters or potentially reach donors. But in recent years, P2P has been adopted by businesses in a big way as a way to connect with customers and potential customers. And you'll probably notice it yourself. There's a lot more avenues now to text directly with a company or to do this two-way conversation. So it really has blown up in the last number of years. It's a great medium. We love it because we're in a position that we can help, millions and millions of these conversations take place every single day. So it's a lot of fun to be involved in this sector.
Absolutely. Well, I'm in the digital marketing space and I run a lot of social media ads, and one of the things that I've noticed over the years that I've been in the business is that the open rates for emails have become more and more difficult to improve, just because people are inundated with so many emails. But the open rates for text messages are like up like close to 100% sometimes. So
yeah, man, you're right, and it hasn't changed much. I mean, open rate on text is huge. Emails suck, right? Emails are tough. It's a good medium for some things, but when it comes to business, marketing, even keeping your customers informed, good luck, because you might work hard and get a nice email out to your customers, but guess what? They got 50 more from other companies as well at the same time, right? It's hard to stand out that way. So there's a lot more rules you have to follow when you're dealing with telecom and text messaging to stay compliant. But I mean, if you're working with the right type of company like Purely, we can guide you along the way, and you can actually get your messages read as well.
Yeah, well, and I'm a big fan of Seth Godin, and he's an advocate of permission marketing, right? I think even one of his books might have been called Permission Marketing. It's this idea that rather than spamming a mass list of people, you actually build the list of people who consent to be communicated with by you, right? And so that's one of the advantages in the SMS space is due to the difficult regulation around sending mass text, if you build your own list, or if you have a list that you have permission to market to for one reason or another, then you can actually have a really high conversion rate because these people are expecting to hear from you, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're right. And you know what? So Grant Cardone always says, and I know Grant because I've worked with Grant on a number of projects before, but what Cardone always says, he says, I love unsubscribes. I love unsubscribes. I love opt-outs, right? Because every time there's an unsubscribe, every time there's an opt-out, my list is getting better, right? And I'm with you completely on that. There's a right way to do this. And if you do it right, then it's gold and it's going to pay off.
One of the things I noticed about your bio here is that you're working on providing political campaigns with HD video texting for 2022. And the reason I bring that up is because I want to ask you what it's like to service the political sphere, because it's a very cyclical client base, right? It happens with midterm elections and general elections. And they're often very stingy candidates. I've worked with candidates before, and I know that to be the case. So what's it been like for Purely to sort of broaden its reach and focus some, at least, on working in the political sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason why I like the political sphere, it's not much different than anything else. It's actually a little bit of an easier grouping to work with because it's a niche, and it's there's a group of people that who you have to contact, who your audience is to sell your product and get your product in front of. So in terms of on an entrepreneur level, it's actually pretty straightforward to market to the political industry, and we've had a lot of success over the years doing this. We know what these guys want, and they want a stable program, a stable product that's going to allow them to reach a lot of people for the lowest possible price, right? Because these are a lot of donation dollars and everything else. The cool thing is with the type of stuff we do is compared to other mediums, we bring down the cost. Huge, right? If they're used to spending money on, social media, it's Facebook, television, all this type of stuff. They're paying massive amounts of money where, doing something like texting, it's a fraction of the cost, and we can actually get them directly in front of the voter to communicate, and they can also collect data at the same time. So you're getting more value and you're paying less. So it's actually pretty good. Purely is doing billions of these messages a year now, right? With a number of these political organizations. But look, I mean, we also service nonprofits and charities and business and everything else, right? The toughest part of it all is just making sure that everybody, policing your network, making sure everybody's doing it the right way, because there's a lot of rules when it comes to this type of stuff, right? And the last thing we ever want to see happen is somebody make a mistake somewhere along the lines and get themselves into some type of legal issue. So we have a full compliance department that helps out with that as well.
That makes sense. So when did you found Purely?
So this, our concept was started probably about 15 years ago as a way for pollsters to conduct public opinion research. And at that time, we developed a powerful IVR software capable of polling like 1 million people over the telephone hourly. And then the software went on to become, and it went on to being used by some of the largest pollsters and political organizations in the country. And look, I mean, if you've seen a poll on CNN at one point in time, often we were involved with it. We're not pollsters, but our software was used so heavily. And then a number of years ago, let's say, I think it was 2-3 years ago, the FCC came out with clarification and kind of issued a bit of an exemption on peer-to-peer texting, primarily for political organizations.
Right.
Sending
because
these
the politicians want to be able to use it, so they exempted it themselves.
Hey man, look, they did it, and there was an opportunity when we seen it, and there was an opportunity to get involved in that market. It was a natural fit for us. A lot of our professional networks intersected with the technology, so it made sense. And look, man, like I think as I said before, we're billions of these things a year now. So look, this journey was not easy. A lot of these concepts of doing this mass high volume text messages, it needed to be reimagined and innovated just to achieve this level of throughput, while also keeping a very clear focus on compliance. So no shortcuts there, but it's worked out well, and it's a lot of fun being involved in this industry, right?
Yeah. So what's something that you know now that you wish you would have known 15 years ago?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I would say, look, I operate on what I would call, I call the GPI Future Index, right? It's growth, profit, innovate, or die, right? I would say to run a successful business, the GPI index needs to fuel you. You must, you got to embrace changes, so much so that the business that you started should be unrecognizable every 12 months, right? So your core values should always remain intact, but your business should be radically changing every single year, or you're going to be left behind. So you have to constantly be innovating, striving for growth. There's no such thing as treading water in tech, pretty much no business, but tech especially, right? You'll get eaten alive. So look, I founded several successful tech companies, and I can tell you, if you're not growing, if you're not moving forward, you're dying a slow death, right?
Right. So treading water is the same as drowning.
It's exactly the same, man. In any business, like especially our business space, the drive, it needs to be continuing to innovate, right? Falling behind is deadly in tech. It's a constant challenge to kind of stay ahead of the curve, but we do it. And that's what I would say. But people are surprised sometimes to hear it. But you got to think of it this way, man. You got, 1 year. And if your business isn't different every single year, then good luck, because somebody else is going to be. Someone else is going to innovate around you and take you out, right?
That makes sense. So, obviously one of the advantages of social media marketing, which is sort of the reason that Facebook became so successful starting about 10 years ago, up until this point, is the astronomical amount of data that Facebook has that allows you to do hyper targeting. So can you talk a little bit about, obviously anybody can build a platform where, they download a list of voter, phone numbers, and they bring it to the platform and they just start sending texts to that list. But can you talk a little bit about how Purely may be different in that space in terms of like the actual data and the targeting tools that can be used to really make sure that there's a hyper resonance among the audience?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And I think I can expand on that a little bit to maybe even help the audience a bit, right? So I brought a few of these tech companies to market. Purely is a very, very special one to us, just because of the level of innovation we've been able to introduce in this marketplace. But, I can sum up probably 5 keys to our success that can be used in pretty much any other business, especially when it comes to more hyper targeting. But I would say number 1, you need to identify a market that's in your power to address. Right. So we're talking about building that kind of successful business and targeting your individuals. There's value in sending a man to the moon, right? Like, or sending a man to Mars, like Elon Musk is doing pretty good, but that's not within our power to address, right? So you need to have something that you're going to actually be able to have influence over or be able to provide value with. And then number 2 is you have to develop, like you said, a proof of concept with direct evidence to support your idea. What I mean by that is, you have great ideas in business. I have great ideas in business. They're flowing. We have, oh, look, we can do this. We can do this. Oh, we can make money this way and that way. But the way I look at it is that they're all dumb. They're all dumb. They're all stupid ideas, right? Doesn't matter what your idea is. Doesn't matter how big it is. Doesn't matter how bold it is, how exciting it is, how much it's going to change the world. I'm not going to pay attention to it because it's a dumb idea before even hearing it, unless you have a proof of concept. Now, if you have a proof of concept, you come to me with a proof of concept that shows me that this person is paying me money doing this, and there's direct evidence of that proof of concept, that's what you need, right? And then you need to hyper-focus exactly on who will benefit from your product. And that moves into a little bit more what you were talking about a minute ago, of obsessing on how you're going to reach those clients directly. And I always say you need to have a minimum of 3 different mediums, right? So sure, if Google Ads is your way you're going to reach your audience, good for you. It's going to cost you $500,000 a year to start off with. You don't have that money, so you're going to fail. And if the algorithm changes or something else changes or you get suspended, your business is gone. So you got to bring me 3 different mediums to be able to reach that hyper-targeted audience that you've already identified. And of course, you have to go to market with multiple value propositions. I say 3. You need minimum 3. Because if you're going to set up a business or if you're going to go down this road, and if you don't have at least 3 value propositions that make you better than your largest competitor, then why the hell are you doing it? Why are you expecting anybody to use you? You're going to get eaten alive, right? So that's probably what I would say in terms of, best way to kind of attract customers and kind of implement some of those, I guess, more growth hacks and lay your business out from day one.
That makes sense. So where do you see the future of P2P texting over the next 36 months, given that, you're a proponent of changing your business radically every 12 months or so? What are some major changes that you're making now?
Yeah, okay, and it's a good question. It all comes down to innovation, right? I would say that this industry has become increasingly popular since the last presidential election, right? It gained like a huge amount of momentum as a go-to tool at that time. And what makes Peerly's capabilities so effective is just for that ability to bring that human to human contact. One person can send out 10,000 texts an hour and be able to reply back and forth and to engage with the recipient using this technology. But that's cool, right? There's not a lot of people that's doing that on this scale, but it's not enough. So we came out and we introduced the ability for people to send HD, true cinematic video over text. Well, that doesn't sound too exciting because we can do that on iMessage, but you can't do it unless you have data. You can't do it on what they call MMS, which is the actual phone text messaging protocol. Peerly now allows you to send HD video directly to somebody on their phone. And that's big because if you're looking at sending out 1 million messages, good luck doing that on iMessage, right? Now you could imagine you can take the concept of a commercial, a political commercial or a marketing commercial, and you can deliver it directly to that individual and track it when they open it. We also hated how boring text messages were because they all looked exactly the same. So we introduced custom fonts and rich font text messaging, and that's pretty cool. Right now we're working on ability for people to send 4K video over MMS technology. Wow. And we have about a half a dozen other innovations that are in the pipeline right now because it goes back to what I said before. If you're not moving forward, if you're not innovating, you're going to get eaten up. You're going to die a slow death, man, because it's business, which means that there's competitors out there and they're doing the same thing we are. So who's going to be first and who's going to do it better, right?
Right. So where can people find you and follow your story as well as do business with Peerly and see if it's a good fit?
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can check out our website, peerly.com. And you book a call, chat with us. Are happy to see if it works for you. We're not the kind of company that's looking to sell you something that's not going to work for you. Matter of fact, if we don't think it's going to work or provide you with some crazy benefit pretty quick, we're not going to take on your business, even if you beg us. We want nothing to do with it, right? There's the door. If we're not going to be in a position to work with you long term and for you to have success using our products, we don't want your business, right? And you'll know that within 5 minutes of talking to us. And we also give everybody, free trials and this and that, and here, try this out, full refunds. I mean, along the way, we learned the right way to do a lot of this stuff, right? Which is, you got to put that customer first, make sure that they're actually getting some value. It's not about a quick buck, right? And if you're running a business and if it's about that quick buck, good luck, man. You're not going to be here next year.
Well, Josh, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on the Action and Ambition podcast. I'm excited to follow your story, and I hope you'll come back and join us after some time passes and let us know how things are going.
Cool, man. It's been fun. Good luck to everybody out there. Good luck to all the entrepreneurs out there. Keep on pushing, keep on fighting, keep the hustle going.
Take care, man.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to Action and Ambition with your host, Andrew Metal. Please leave a review and subscribe, and go to andrewmetal.com for all the exclusive lessons, behind-the-scenes footage, and video content of the show. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Action and Ambition, and we'll see you on the next episode.